What is up, Fed Nation? All forms of social media that really matters. I think you know what we're talking about. I have taken over, fired up on this beautiful Freak Out Friday. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you know all about the Freaked Out Friday. It has been a Freaked Out Friday. I got some doozies today, some awesome, broke it on Sunday. I forgot till today to tell you about it. Can you fix it by this afternoon? Because, someone will be here. It's awesome. What are you fired up about on Friday? I am fired up about the weekend. I am fired up about a couple of days off. My boss and my peer will be off next week. So next week is going to be super insane. Got a couple things to go over. We're super fired up this week. First off, to Rich and his team, with all the big news last night. Awesome news. I'm super can't even tell you. I was so pumped about that. I see all these acquisitions going on. I'm always I always see it as a positive. They're always positive, right? I got good friends with General Parts and Parts Town. I saw that happen earlier, but last night I saw that these are good things, right? A couple of really, really strong businesses, and now they're one bigger, stronger business. Awesome. Congrats again to Rich and the team and Vince and just that much bigger of a powerhouse, helping you out now and that much broader. Rich has been dragging us along and I'm about to get bigger. And so, super congrats on it. That was awesome news. I just have to say that on that one. So Lisa Z, how are you?
To say hello from behind the scenes. So I'm still beside Taz, just as I am for Rich, but in another state, and I will be manning this fired up live stream.
Yep.
From behind.
Yep. And hopefully, and hopefully I've paid armed guards out by the Wi-Fi cable. So hopefully no one steps on it today. So hopefully I'm here for the duration. So we'll see. Maybe one of these days my state will upgrade its intra web connections, as it's called around here. Couple things. One thing I just wanted, Lisa and I were talking about this, wanted to get fired up. Something Xavier brought it up in the comments in the Facebook group the other day. I want to talk about this. Rich and Josh and I were talking about this probably a month. It may have been a couple of months back. It may even have been at RIFMA. I don't know if y'all realize, but it's not 2019 anymore. So we're almost to 2022, so it's kind of flying by with all this fun we're having stuck at home and everything. There's Rich. Hey, Rich. I saw Quentin's in the room. Hey, Vince. Got Jesus is in there now too. He brought up a good point about the cost of a technician versus what they're getting out of that technician, right? And there was a couple of things going on around how do you figure out the value of that? I think Andrew had some, was talking about how do you figure out, the value of that. And it's all kind of business metrics, right? As a business owner, as a CEO, or especially a lot of you in that kind of maybe that CFO role, you're looking for that business metric, right? So at what price point does it make sense? And it's one of those super tricky things, right? And I empathize with you as an FM. I kind of get to be in a cool role where everything's a super tangible thing that I can touch and affect, right? So if this particular fryer or this particular oven just doesn't work for my model, we can just switch to a different kind of model, or we can go to a bigger one, a smaller one, an electric one, or a gas one, something like that, right? It's just equipment. I get the advantage of kind of doing that. In the service business, you're talking about actual people, right? So you were talking about how do you motivate? How do you move? How do you say this person is worth $1 or $5 an hour more, worth a salary position, worth a management position, worth all of these things, right? He brought up, there was a good point about the cost for, hot side guys versus cold side guys and kind of all of those things. And I was really interested in the conversation, and I'd love to hear some more on it. I'd love to get that kind of conversation going again. But Rich and Josh and I were talking about this, and unfortunately, I think we're on the cusp of where we're going to see a hard reset in these prices raising, right? Which for someone like me means I'm going to start seeing higher invoices, right? Cost of doing business, right? Like I can cry about it, but it's also sort of cost of doing business, right? So he was talking about the cost of someone starting in the business and their value and how that's going up. And it's, they're used to starting at this rate. And now I think post pandemic, we're going to start to see these prices go up quite a bit. And unfortunately, I've had several conversations here recently where my service providers are telling me, hey, I know we locked in at this rate a couple of years ago, but literally with everything happening, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. We've tried to do the good guy thing. We've tried to, as a key customer, a key account, kind of tried to help you out with that, but it's really, really tough. That's one of the things that I love to be able to do, right? They're actually, comfortable coming to me and having that honest conversation. But I'd love to see how the community feels about that some more, right? Like, what does that look like when we have to kind of reset and go, starting rate is no longer, and I'm making up a number, right? I'm used to seeing hourly rates on the backside, right? Once you add in trucks and insurance and everything else, right? But your hourly rate is X dollars an hour, 2019 pre-pandemic, right? But now it's this, but it's still that entry level, right? It's somebody brand new out of a trade school or out of, right? Like Rich talks about grabbing these young folks right out of high school and starting them on microwaves and building them up to rational ovens and so on, right? So what's up, Lisa?
It's actually Rich. And this is a very long comment, Rich, so I'm going to have to go back to LinkedIn. But he says, had a conversation with one of our longtime top senior techs today about this, gave him some insight on what it looks like from an owner's perspective, trying to grow their business. I heard his side and put myself in his shoes, and I see and understand it. Empathy is important here. There's not an easy answer or solution other than promoting the trades. Getting people fired up to learn and work, and then those 18-year-olds 10 years from now will be worth their weight in gold. It's a long ... It's a long comment.
Yeah, it is. It is. And what's crazy is, so we're actually having that conversation right now, but not, like I said, again, in my world, we're all salaried, right? So it becomes a different conversation, but it's still the same conversation. We're still having that conversation. What is the value? What value do we get from this project or this person or this equipment and that sort of thing? And so it's a constant evaluation. And as you move up in the ranks, right? So you talk about a senior tech, they start to have to deal with that. If they're a senior tech, then they are viewed as a senior technician, not only in tenure, but they've seen more, right? So the junior technicians are going to ask them more questions and they're going to, right? And there's a mentality, they start to go, they're like, look, I get questions all the time. Why am I not paid more? Why am I not this? Like, you got to think about that, right? So if you're looking at it from that angle, right? And you can, right? You totally can. It's your choice. What are you bringing back to the table, right? So are you helping that junior tech be worth that weight in gold, right? Because then if you are asking for a raise and you are wanting more money and you are pulling people along with you, it's an easy conversation to any service manager, right? Like if everybody goes to you for that conversation, then it's an easy conversation to promote you. And then you get that service manager. I know recently with my senior manager role promotion, now I have direct reports again, something I haven't had in about 6 or 7 years. And so now I'm once again having that conversation, right, with reports who are like, I haven't been, I've got, individuals that, they want to get promoted next, right? They're like, you just got promoted. How'd you get promoted? It's a tough, it's a tough business we're in. I'm like, look, this is the steps I did. This is what I did, how I went through that and how I got that, right? And understand, I haven't been promoted in Walmart since 2014, right? So you have to understand, it was 7 years I went without a promotion. And they're like, oh gosh, wow, that seems daunting. I'm like, not really. You have to remember, like the further up you go, the more the bottleneck is, right? So that's going to slow down, right? So if you were to look at my career, for example, I started in 2001, and between 2004, I got promoted 5 times. That's amazing. I got promoted 2 more times between 2004 and 2014, right? So see how it slowed down, and then 7 years later, I got promoted again, right? So it slows down, but it's a significant jump each time in responsibility and sort of that sort of thing, right? And what you have to remember is every time you go up a step, now that last role you were doing, you're now responsible for lots of people that or doing that role you were just doing. So these guys coming into the trades, they're worth a certain amount of money, right? Because they can do even basic labor, right? So if you can clock in, you can turn a screwdriver, you're worth that basic labor. You want to move up through the ranks, you got to prove your worth and prove your value. It is service, right? It's strictly like in Rich's world, it's all about the service. So the more you prove your value in that, the more you end up being worth in that long run, right? The less the senior techs have to sort of come behind you and clean up, the more they're going to support you when you're asking for a raise, right? The more you make the company look good, the more the senior techs got your back, the less they have to sort of baby and pamper you over and over again, right? Like it sounds a little dog eat dog, but those senior techs they're on the clock too, right? They've got 5 or 6 calls they got to hit in a day, just like the junior tech do, but they've also got to answer questions. So there's lots of pressure in that. And I think what he was talking about is what he's feeling like out in the field with that constant. And what, you got 500 calls on the board today again, Lisa? I don't know. I don't know. Or did you double did it double yesterday when you took over a whole nother, like, are you at double now? So
to that point, I wanted to bring in Quentin's 2 comments here. The reality is going to become this: whether you do hot side or cold or both, the value of the tech and mechanic will be based on their troubleshooting ability and productivity. Simple as that. You can conceivably have a 5-year tech that's a whiz that earns more than a 20-year tech. Ability should trump seniority. That's the motivation for the tech to maintain and expand their skills.
Yep. So great point. Totally agree with it. In this tech world too, there also becomes a component for your value in improving processes, right? So keep in mind, one of the things too, I love seeing when people throw something out there. Like I continue to see this X problem over and over again. A lot of times when somebody throws that out there, especially in this group, because this group is so supportive of everybody, right? Somebody has a question, somebody needs a part, somebody needs something, somebody's got an answer for that, right? I've thrown questions out there and had people like immediately jump in and help me with it. That's the cool part of this, right? Like everybody's so supportive. So you have, I have this problem over and over and over again. If you watch when somebody says that, they're like, I have this problem over and over and over again. You notice there are people that'll jump in and go, hey, I did this to solve that, and I don't have that problem anymore. And you're like, oh, hey, they just improve a process. I didn't actually look at it from that angle. And what's funny is that's actually that's what I do for a living, right? Is to look at, I look at big scale things and I go, why did we need a pump motor on all of our fryers last year, right? That doesn't sound normal. So I have to dig into that. I have to deal with that. I have to pull that back, right? And then, with my new role now, it's not just food equipment, right? So I'm looking at transmissions on forklifts. I'm looking at fast unloaders, which are, motorized truck unloaders. I'm looking at some of you saw my pictures from the rolling racks in Tulsa, right? So those are motorized shelves that just sort of, instead of having shelves that are fixed to the floor and taking up X amount of square footage, they sort of compact and slide back and forth. So you have double and triple the storage space because they move back and forth. So I've got all these different equipment that I solve processes for. So I love the conversation. That was what I was fired up about, right? Once again, I see that conversation kind of hit and we're all kind of throwing our 2 cents in there. And at the end of the day, if you're paying attention and you're kind of taking notes from Quentin, for example, from Rich, for example, anybody else that's throwing stuff in there, you've probably got a pretty good start on a playbook of good ideas, right? So, to Quentin's point, hot side, cold side, carpenter, electrician, plumber, doesn't matter. Your value is going to be what you bring to the table, what you bring to trade, and your productivity. And that doesn't mean and people always get scared of the productivity number, right? So they're like, I got 6 calls done today. And people are like, wow, that's amazing, right? What were the 6 calls? You have to keep that in mind, right? Because the person next to you may have got 1 call done. So this person over here may have installed a Baxter double rack oven, right? So that's an all day deal. And honestly, probably will be back tomorrow, to do some more work. That's not and that's a team effort, right? It was probably that person and a couple of other people. For that person that hit 6 calls, probably, dropped a fuse in here and a door gasket over here. And maybe somebody pinched at Walmart, the Bezerba slicer cords get just ripped off all the time, right? So that's there's not even really a troubleshooting there, right? Like like my slicer won't start, and the tech walks up, and there's a cord hanging out of the wall, and the other half of it's in the slicer over here. It's not a lot of troubleshooting involved, like missing a connection. So you can knock those out all day long, right? The only thing slowing you down there is the New Jersey Turnpike, right, Lisa? So like, those are things like, that's what I'm fired up about. Like, I'm fired up to be back. I apologize, I haven't done lives in a while, but if any of you are in the inner loop with me and the business stuff that I've been dealing with, man, I walked out of RIFMA and got a call a few days later that I was getting promoted. And then a few days later, 2 people left the team, and then 2 more people left off the team. And then just last week, our director got moved to another team. So our team of 15 is now like 6, I think. So it got all sorts of crazy up in Arkansas super quick. So
yeah, and you're right. After RIFMA, you did get quiet a little bit with the Friday live streams.
Yeah, there was a couple people that reached out. They were like, "You all right, bro? Haven't heard from you." I'm like, "Nope, totally good." Like, thank you for reaching out. That's another cool thing. Like, you want to get fired up about something, right? This community, and then Jason's food service power plant network.
Oh yeah.
Like, same thing, right? Like, I have had people from that group, and I've done it too. Like, I've seen posts from people, and I'm like, sounds like they're having a bad day, right? Like, so I'll hit them with a messenger, or if I've got their phone number, I'll call them or text them or something, right? Because sometimes it's just like, I feel their pain, right? Like, I think somebody needs to, I don't know.
Our community is amazing.
You're basically putting a digital Post-it note on their laptop that, hey, it's cool, we're all still here. Like, just like, so that's I'm getting fired up about.
I had a lot of people reach out to me, to your point, like, our community is so great. After that Hurricane Ida storm, so many people reached out to me. Shout out to Valerie, just to see how we were holding up. My roof was basically leaking all over the place, and that was very fun to deal with. But
did you get it fixed?
I did. The roofer came by the very next day to retar around the entire perimeter. And then the part that he didn't do, then I was tarring myself, because I have a very large flat roof.
Okay. Yep.
But speaking of being handy, I do have a question for you, Taz.
Sure.
So you are a jack of all trades.
Yep, master of none.
So that actually goes into my question. If you could be a master of something, an expert in something, what would it be?
Like, if I had like dream job, like, or
maybe
just
something you've never done before that you wanted to do,
or master of a hobby.
Yeah.
Because I would think my dream job would be writing. Like, I would love to just be a writer.
Really?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I think just being able to write and kind of put stories out there, fictional and non-fictional, right? Both. I enjoy both those. I often talk. People always ask why I left journalism, right? And I can tell you the bad reasons why I left journalism, right? It was a quick burnout, and it was really hard to deal with the sort of the bad, because it's super bad, right? Like, the bad in journalism is really, really bad. And I wasn't cut out for that, right? What's funny is, I think at my age now and what I've dealt with in my life, I probably would be able to handle it now, and probably handle it a lot better than I did as a teen. I mean, I was almost a teenager when I started, right? Like, I started at 19, 20 years old, right? So I think I just wasn't prepared for that much life experience. But the writing part, right? So the writing the story and telling a story, and the good part, right? So when you tell a story about someone who did something amazing for the community, or somebody that did something amazing and won some kind of award, or some charity that does these amazing things, right? Or there were even just random cool ones, right? So like the air show would come to town, and you know, they would you'd get to do the media ride. So I've flown in a B-17 and a B-25, those old like World War II. Yeah. And then I don't know where the picture, I'll have to find the picture and I'll post it later. But I have a picture. Do you know Red Baron Pizzas? So those airplanes. Yeah. So you know those airplanes, those like bi-wings, the biplane.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to have a team of them that flew around and gave media rides, right? And they would go to the shows. I got to fly in one of those. There was a whole story. I was on the news. They even had me on the news because they did like the twists and turns with me, and I had a camera and everything. It was cool. Like I enjoyed writing and telling other people's stories. So that was
in the late 1900s.
Yes, yep, that was in the late 1900s. That is correct. Yep. Yes. Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's actually one of my life goals, is to be a pilot or get my pilot's license. So hopefully that can happen.
Yeah. So that's let me tell you a really old story. So you've heard me talk about Top Gun being my favorite movie, right?
Yeah.
So that was my thing, right? So Top Gun had me fixated on joining the Navy and being a pilot, right? So that was like when 11 years old, I was going to join the Navy and be a pilot. Around the age of 13, I had an incident with a firecracker, and so I don't really have good vision anymore, right? Since the age of 13, so like my right eye doesn't focus anymore, right? So pretty quickly, I realized that in order to be an aviator for any military branch, your eyesight has to be a lot better than, not good, right? So the funny thing is, I snuck away when I was like 17 and enlisted in the Navy. And I was going to go to the Navy. And so I told the recruiter, and this was the kind of smart ass I was when I was 17. Because I knew, like, I had uncles and my grandfather that was in the Navy, right? And they had always told me the story. They're like, don't let them trick it. Like, they'll tell you can fly planes and then you'll end up being the potato fry cook, right? And like, be careful. And they told you all these stories, right? Because they got it, like, they're recruiters. They got to fill a quota, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there like weary and like on guard, and I had done a little bit of research on what the popular jobs were, because I knew if you asked for the popular jobs, they'd say sure, but then you'd end up somewhere, because they can only, like, if there's only 30 slots and 60 people signed up for it, they would basically pick where the other 30 go, right?
Okay.
So I went in there and I told them, I said, look, I don't care what I do for the Navy. I said, I want to be near the planes.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, there's all kinds of jobs that's near the planes. And I said, sure, but like aircraft carriers or naval air station near the planes. He goes, oh, so you want to fly? And I said, no, I have bad vision. I can't fly. And obviously I'm enlisting and I'm not an officer. So I want to be near the planes. And he goes, well, they're always looking for people that refuel the planes on an aircraft carrier. And I said, like, always, like, if I signed up for that, it's pretty much guaranteed. And he goes, yeah, nobody wants that job. And I said, but I'm always touching the airplanes. And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, sweet, sign me up. 2 weeks later, they take me for MEPS. Some dude in a lab coat with birds on his shoulders said he heard a heart murmur and he failed me and sent me home. So I come home and had to figure out what the hell I was going to do for college. So.
You were so close. So then that means that's how you ended up at the news station.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I talked to, I actually had a conversation with my band teacher, and she's like, well, don't you write stuff all the time? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm always writing songs and poetry and stories and all this stuff. And she goes, you ever thought of being a journalist? And I'm like, no. And she goes, your dad's a photographer. You're always writing stuff. Like, how did you not make that connection? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm 17.
Well, Taz, I think the future of Fed, there might be a news station out in Arkansas where you'll
be cool.
do all the reporting from.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yep. That would be pretty sick. And I'm sure if Rich is still watching, he's going, yep, we'll do it. We'll make that happen.
Yep.
A Fed news station.
Yeah, the Fed News. Yep. Yeah, I did all of that. If I can find that stuff at some point, I'll find y'all get a kick out of that. There are music videos that I did for like college projects. There are news, like we had to do so many newscasts to finish our, like, it was part of our classwork.
Yeah.
So there are actually news shows where, like, me in a blazer with the ponytail, like I had to pull the ponytail all the way back and like hide it because little baby. I had no facial hair back then, right? So
Oh
there's
man.
all kinds there's all kinds of gems out there.
Well, speaking of music, how do you feel about what's it called? Wow, I'm going blank. The keynote speaker for Fed.
Oh yeah. Here I am talking. Like Rich, you and Rich have been promising this. So like I 30 minutes ago, I got a sneak peek of this. So now I'm super excited about this. So
yes.
Music is a perfect segue because I love music. It's in every part of my life. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this guest speaker.
All right, here it is, guys. The next keynote speaker for FedCon is.
Hello, my friends. I am so excited to present for you at FedCon on April 27, 2022. Get ready for what I call my rock show disguised as a keynote and allow me to be your own personal rock star at your service as we rock and disrupt the food equipment industry with a cutting edge meeting of all of you, the coolest people in the industry. Now, I'm certain you will have never experienced anything quite like my presentation called Hacking the Rockstar Attitude, How to Ignite Rockstar Performance in Uncertain Times. Now, I call myself an activational speaker because beyond motivating you, I will excite you about your business, engage you, and give you unique perspectives and business-relevant content as I give you techniques to literally shift your attitudes, behaviors, and output, both professionally and personally. Now, I weave my content into rock and roll stories from 30 years on the road, touring with some of the greatest acts of all time, including Pink, Billy Idol, and Foreigner. Get ready to engage in high energy, interactive rhythmic processes, rock with exclusive live concert footage, personal drumming performances, and content that will give you intense, state-of-the-art methods of approaching your business. And one of you will win a personally signed snare drum from me. Now, in the meantime, get ready to rock on April 27th.
Dude.
Man, I'm fired up for that guy.
Oh man, I had to get the glasses out for that one. Wow.
He's got glasses and everything.
Oh man, I got the Wayfarers on for that, dude. He was Velvet Revolver.
Yes, Velvet Revolver. He's also
he played for Matt Sorum's part in I'm in awe now. Wow.
Because I'm on this live stream, I'm gonna give y'all a behind the scenes in terms of Mark Schulman. So I was wearing a shirt that was when we talked to him over Zoom. This was when we were kind of interviewing each other to see if he'd be a perfect fit for FedCon. And so I was wearing a shirt that's a Meatloaf shirt, except it was Radiohead as on the text. So Radiohead with a Meatloaf logo. He loved it so much. Yeah. And he was like, I want to be a FedCon. Hell yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah.
So
awesome.
I credit my Meatloaf Radiohead shirt for that.
Nice. Very nice.
He has played with Tina Turner, Destiny's Child. Right now, he's on the road with Pink. So he was actually making sure that FedCon would work within his schedule because he's got to be practicing with her and stuff. So we're really excited about him.
Yeah. Is he really bringing his drum kit too? That's awesome.
Yes, he's bringing his drum kit, and he is giving away a snare, signed snare. So. He's going to be hanging out. We're going to be able to take pictures with him, get his autograph, stuff like that, and hacking the rock star attitude. I'm certain that most people in the Fed group are super close to being, having that rock star persona. I think that this guy's really going to bring it out of everybody.
Oh yeah. Well, we need to talk to Tim. Tim's out there. Like Tim shared some pictures of him when he was in some kind of rock band back in the day. Like, let's see if we can get him fired up and post some more pictures in the group later on. He still has the hair. I can't. My ponytails. Those days are long gone. It faded away a long time ago. But Tim still has the flowing locks, right? So
You'll have to shout him out and see if he'll post some of those.
Yeah, definitely.
But awesome, Taz. So do you have anything else that you're fired up about that you want to wrap up this takeover with?
I'm fired. So let me put it to you this way. I'm fired up about clean ovens. I'm fired up about communications. I'm still, I've said this 3 times now, so I'm starting to sound like a broken record, right? But in my new role, I've learned a new level of communication. And we were just talking about this today. And so something that happens, and I don't know, y'all let me know in the comments here, but something that I think is unique inside my company, but it may be unique. It may not be as unique as I think it is, right? But I've noticed inside my company that people tend to put far too many people on an email chain for a missing part or a simple fixed solution to something when it should, like, does that make sense? And so that's something I got pretty fired up this morning. Actually got pretty, I got pretty agitated this morning because there were some really high level people on this email, basically, from an individual saying, I don't know how to fix this. It's their job to fix it, right? And they're like, I don't know how to fix this. And, Taz, can you help? Right? To which I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little more, I don't know, maybe I'm a little more humble, or maybe I'm a little bit different tactic with that, right? But I don't know that I would have thrown out to the entire world that I didn't know what to do there, especially when I'm asking for help. I would have been more singular to that person, right? So I don't know. Is that like Fed Group? Tell me, does that happen a lot in your bigger organizations? Like, do you see that where like they just like, I'm just going to put the CEO and everyone on there and let them know that I don't know how to do my job? Or does, like, I don't know. That's fine. Does that make, I don't know, Lisa, you see that a lot? Or
I mean, luckily on the media side,
probably not. Okay.
I'm not seeing that, but I'm sure that Fed Nation is.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like if you had an answer for me, Lisa, for example, I would be like, side mail, right? Lisa, I'm not sure how this works. I understand how it works. Can you help a brother out, right? And you're a nice person, right? You're going to be like, yeah, Taz, you want to do this and this and this? And I'm like, sweet, right? And then I would turn around to that group and be like, hey, looks like we missed this part. We got it ordered now. Looking at about 4 days, right? And everybody goes, yay, good job, right? No, I'm just gonna throw a flag up there that says, don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm gonna shoot shot questions out into the whole crowd and hope somebody raises their hand. I'm like, I don't know. It seems embarrassing to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe that's, I don't know. Somebody tell me, is that a millennial thing? Like to just shoot? And maybe it is, right? Am I missing something, right?
I don't want anybody to know that I don't know something.
Yeah. But like with the, I don't know. There are some things I'm learning with the Google thing, right? And I know that sounds weird. I'm versed with Google, right? But I didn't grow up with Google, right? I had to adapt to Google. Although why people don't adapt to Google, I don't know. Google's amazing. But back in the late 1900s, you had to use libraries, and you had to phone a friend a lot, right? So I don't know. I'm just.
It's so funny because I think back to that. Like, yes, I know I seem young, but when I was in school, I was still going to the library, like you're saying, to look through encyclopedias to finish my reports. Yep. So Quentin says, when I worked for our local school system, I would usually CC the food service director when I wanted the person I emailed to know I mean business.
Hey, different conversation, right? Now, if the conversation is, hey, look, this is the 3rd time. Like, if you have asked me this question 3 times and I've told you 3 times you need to push that power button, and you're still like, I don't want to push the power button. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm throwing you under the bus in front of your boss. I gave you the answer, right? I gave you the answer again because I'm a nice guy, and I've given you a warning shot, right? After that, no, Greyhound schedule's posted outside. You just got pushed. So and I know a lot of people are like, Taz, that's just savage. I'm a nice guy. I give extra warning shots, right? So there's a lot of people that are like, you pushed him under the bus. And I'm like, I said it 4 times. Like, like I yelled it the last time, so yeah, Quentin's right. Like sometimes when it's like, no, you know what? Here's my boss and your boss in case there's any additional disconnect. I actually mean you're going to have to do this yourself. I'm in Bentonville. You're in, San Diego, Bayonne. I cannot push that button for you. You're going to have to get up and push it yourself. Sorry. Right. But I don't look, Quentin. I love Quentin. Right. He's like, I upshifted.
I'm just going to drive that bus right over that person. Well, Taz, I'm so grateful that your internet connection played nice with us.
Yeah, we're all good today. So,
like you were saying,
I'm going to go with my score on Call of Duty now since it's working. No, I'm kidding. No, I probably missed a couple emails here in the last 30 minutes.
Actually, play Call of Duty?
I do. Yeah.
You do with your son?
No. No, he doesn't play. No, he's a jerk. He doesn't play nice. No. So I still have the 360 because I just like I like the original Ghost and Modern Warfare 3. And I like to get on the old servers and just play the gun games and all that.
It's funny because sometimes like my father-in-law, he's in his 60s. He also still plays Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. And I know we're getting really off topic of the fired up. No one here probably.
No big deal. It's Friday.
Talking about, but he's playing when he gets on those servers.
Nobody's working on Friday afternoon anyway. It's fine.
When he gets on those servers, and maybe you have the same experience. He's playing with people like in Brazil.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the funny thing, right? My wife comes through, and I'm like, "What did they say?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm about 90% positive that's Portuguese, and I don't know if you know this, but I am not bilingual. I speak Arkansan, and I know 4 phrases in Scottish, and so that's it. I'm done. Like that's it. No, I do know some other phrases in a couple of languages, but I'm not bilingual in any other languages. So
it's Friday. That means that you're probably going to get your drink on tonight.
I very possibly. Yeah, very possibly. I have tried to. I honestly tried to back off the alcohol a little bit. This last summer. My wife pointed out the amount of bottles I went through in the last year, and so she had a valid point about the quantity. So I've decided to back in a little more into the quality versus quantity. So, see, I grew up poor, right? So if I buy a really expensive bottle of whiskey, I go through it a lot slower. And so we both win, right? I'm not the cranky old drunk guy anymore. And, I still get my whiskey. So I think it's a win.
When you guys come to Jersey for Thanksgiving, there's a spider in front of my face. When you come to Jersey for Thanksgiving, hopefully that actually happens. There is a bar that their cocktail menu is based off of stuff that they find in old recipe books from like the 1920s and 30s and things like that. And there's this one drink that I will be making tonight. It's called the Bee's Knees. So
okay. I know that one.
It's super simple. Mm-hmm. Yep. But if I try to get that in any other bar, no one understands what I'm saying. They never have honey. They never have lemon juice. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it myself.
Yep. It's really good. So that one's really good. And that one was, if I remember correctly, the Bee's Knees was originally for people that liked whiskey, but like less strong, right?
I think so, because I love it.
Yeah. Same thing with the Rusty Nail. The Rusty Nail is the same thing. So have you ever had one of those?
I have not.
Yeah. So Rusty Nail, you got 2 ingredients, right? If you want to be bougie, you take a lemon peel and like do the lemon, like the lemon stuff over the top of it, right? But you don't have to, right? So you Scotch, it's equal parts Scotch and Drambuie. So Drambuie is honey, heather honey, which if you ever had heather honey, it's heather grown in Scotland.
Okay.
Heather honey, heather grows in the Northern Highlands, And the bees are kept in the Southern Highlands, right? So once a year, they transport the bees up there and they pollinate the heather, and then you get this honey from it, right? So it's a very specific type of honey. And then they make this liqueur from it, right? So this drink is equal parts, right? Now, most people will go 2 parts Scotch, 1 part Drambuie, like I do. But basically, you just put it in a glass, stir it with ice, and then strain it over like a big rock.
That sounds really good.
Yep. Super easy, super simple. If, like I say, if you want to be bougie, like take that lemon peel and like squeeze it over the top so the oils kind of drop down on the top. You get a little lemon. There you go. Rusty nail.
So Rich is really late to the show because he's saying he's excited for the keynote speaker announcement. We've already done it. We already did it, Rich.
We did it. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry. And that he's.
I guess we'll give him a pass. I mean, it's not like he didn't just take on a whole other company yesterday. Yes. I guess we'll let it, people, I've told people that before, like, sorry, I'm 5 minutes late, but I just bought $20 million worth of forklifts. So I apologize. Right. Like, excuse me. So and they're like, do you need a minute? And I'm like, no, good. It's an everyday thing.
You're pressing buttons, right?
Yeah, I'm just pressing buttons. Yeah.
But awesome. I think that wraps it up for our first Fired Up takeover. On Monday, we're going to have Josh Zolan in the house to do a takeover.
I'm ready for it. It's going to be awesome.
September 30th, we have Jeff Victory doing a takeover with me as well. Sir. Let's see. I know that doing some house cleaning here. Rich is going to be live with FSX Marketplace on Tuesday, the 21st. So there's going to be a lot of Fired Up live streams going on. and thank you so much, Taz, for coming on with me, making this happen. This is the first one, and I think it actually went pretty damn good.
Pretty good. Like,
I was nervous.
I'm telling you, like I said, I reset everything before I got on StreamYard. I was like, I'm not taking, I reset the routers. I reset it all. I turned off all the Netflixes that people leave on all through my house. Like,
amazing. I'm glad it worked out.
Yep. So all right.
That's it. It's a wrap for Fired Up Takeover.
Have fun. Have a great weekend.
Everyone.